Hello everyone, welcome back to the Livestream Lounge here at BevNet Live Summer 2017. I'm John Craven. With me is Mike Schneider.
It's me, Mike Schneider.
And really, our important guest, Todd Carmichael of La Colombe.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey Todd.
We're good, how are you doing?
Super, super good. I loved having that conversation earlier about how you drink so much of the draft latte from La Colombe.
I'm drinking a lot, and I've tried the new chai. I've chaied it.
You tried it. Good,
good.
one. Excellent. Excellent.
That's why he's here, for the puns.
That's it. That's it.
So, let's talk a little bit about La Colombe. You guys
Okay.
have been on quite the tear lately with new product innovation, new retail locations. Give us an update.
Snappy cans.
Well, I guess the company started some 23 and a half years ago. We started just like any old startup, and we had this idea that we would like to do what we can do to kind of change the world of coffee, kind of bring America better coffee was the idea. And we really kicked into our highest gear over the last 2.5 years. And it's based really on the concept that we want to take crafted coffees from the bar and make them mobile. And the first product is this draft latte in the series of draft lattes.
And that's now expanded, as Mike said, into chai, a bunch of different flavors. You know, what's kind of the outlook for just innovation for that? Like, how many products do you want to have?
Well, I mean, the innovation pipeline that I have right now has probably about 6 or 7 different, I think, products that will really kind of disturb their arena. Draft latte is just the first of them. I think the core of 4 to 6 beverages is about right, just like any cafe. So you have your latte, cappuccino, your basics. I like the idea of adding 2 to 3 non-milk based drinks. You want to give your respect to the tea people, right? 1 or 2 tea drinks. And then I'm constantly playing with things like juices and chocolate milks and other beverages.
Do you have a formula for disruption, Todd? When you're thinking about, I'm going to disrupt a space, do you have a way that you think about it before you go into product development?
Yeah, I think, for this particular one, what I did was I looked at the real thing. And then I looked at what was available at the CPG kind of channels. And I realized that what was out there just wasn't real. It didn't have texture to it. It wasn't real coffee. It was powdered milk. Or powdered milk and powdered coffee and tons of sugar. And I realized that the RTD of beer is so effective because it tastes just like the real thing that's coming off the tap. So the challenge was just to get real. So the chant.
Get as real in a can as on a tap.
It's time to get real was the idea.
Okay.
And so I figured that if you did pay homage to authenticity, that there would be some disturbance in that, and that's kind of I feel what we're experiencing right now.
So, and how does that translate into the actual retail business? I don't know how many stores you're up to right now.
Yeah,
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I guess we're just short of 30.
30? Yeah, I mean, I guess can you talk a little bit about that end of the business too? I mean, that seems like a super competitive space, just like the CPG world. So how's that end going?
Well, I think for us, as a multi-channel company, the cafe chains, the cafe stores play a super important role in sharing our brand. I mean, they have a load of responsibility to earn a profit, because it's a category, but ultimately it's there to create a brand experience, a 3D kind of universe that people can come in and they can smell, and they can breathe, and they can feel what and who we are. So I would liken it to the Apple stores more than, let's say, the Green Mermaid. Mm-hmm. Apple puts these stores out not because their revenues are driving through that brick and mortar, but because you can go and you can feel and smell and breathe Apple.
So you had an idea of what you wanted it to look and feel and smell like. How do you get there? How do you get there how do you explain that to somebody?
Are you talking about the cafe side?
Yeah, the cafe side.
Well, I mean, you're the curator of this universe. It's your one opportunity to be, like a small god. So you're creating this universe. So you start with the sky and you put the stars on it, which is the lights, the ceiling, and the kind of architecture, and then you start just making your world, and with the idea that you're designing it around humans. So you don't really design around the walls. You design around the people, and if you get it right, they experience your world just for that time that they're in there.
That becomes another roadmap for you too. How do we continuously evolve that experience?
It's all about evolution. This idea that you got to always be growing or you're dying is completely false. That comes from a prior generation. What we do know, what science tells us, is that you have to always be evolving. And it could be smaller or bigger, but it's always about going to that next level.
So shifting gears a little bit, there's been a lot of talk lately just about how cold brew in particular is, totally sort of changing and disrupting coffee. Now, I know this product isn't a cold brew, but you guys do sell cold brew.
Right. Oh, yeah. We do really well
So,
with it.
and obviously as someone who's, in the trenches of the coffee space, kind of curious what, your sense is on, conversations like that. Is cold brew really
the bomb, the thing?
Yeah.
Well, I think you need to bifurcate the cold into two sections. The first is just drinking coffee cold. That started on its own, where right now, let alone however you brewed it, right now we're at about 68% of all coffees that are consumed at cafes during 6 months of the year are cold, no matter how they're brewed. And it's about half and half throughout the year, and it's becoming the dominant way of drinking coffee. That's cold, no matter how you brewed it. Then enter the idea that you can also brew it cold, not just drink it cold, and that adds a component to it that says, okay, this is a coffee that has more caffeine. I like that. It's a coffee that lasts longer, really liking that. It's a coffee without certain acids that affect your stomach wall. I'm jacking on that. And it has a longer shelf life. Oh, I'm digging this. And so you put all those things together and suddenly you've got a major wave happening. But the first piece was that drinking coffee cold. When I started in 1982, no one ever asked for something on ice. That was weird. The first time someone asked me, it was like 1994, and I thought they'd been hit on the head with a ball. It's like, can I get a cold latte? It was like, can I get a hot beer?
Yeah.
It was just so foreign. And now it's actually strange to a degree to have a hot coffee.
Actually, is foreign. In Belgium or Germany, they drink the beer hot or warm.
Well, at least, room temperature. But I'm talking piping hot.
I know what you mean.
It was so strange. But effectively, and this is going to be a nerd moment. I've always tried to stay away from that as much as I can in
We
public.
like coffee nerd moments here.
Okay, this is it.
Thank you, please.
The only reason why your coffee is hot is because you're manipulating the solvency rate of your water. In other words, it takes 12 hours to brew a cup of coffee, unless you take the solvent, which is water, and you agitate it. And the way you do that, atomically, is to heat it up. It's just a matter of just that process that you drink it hot. The flavors that you pick up are better when it's lower. So if you're really a coffee guy, you kind of go, yeah, it's true, it's better cold. It just is.
There you go. That's some serious coffee knowledge right there.
There you have it. And the flavor profiles change over time too. Cold, warm, different. It's a part of the ritual to have it over time.
Yeah. When I looked at the RTD of coffee, and I recognized that this is a product that my great grandmother could have had. It's powdered milk, it's powdered coffee, and it's powdered sugar. And you go, and how evolved is that experience? Everything else is just left it completely behind. And one thing we do know about beverage, and one thing we do know about food is that, man, it's always changing. You got to be fluid. And I think coffee's just kind of catching up.
Well, what are the big changes that you see for food and beverage that are coming? Like, what are you excited about right now?
Well, I am excited about this small company called La Colombe that's killing it. No, outside of that, I like innovation, experimentation, and I think that particularly, a lot of the younger generation, they're not waiting for guys in the R&D department to dictate that. Creativity doesn't come from science. It comes from people who don't think normally, that attack issues from a different angle. Real innovation comes from entrepreneurs, people like us, people who practice science without a license. And you're seeing a lot more of that in the food and beverage space, and I frickin' love it. We're not waiting for craft on those 5,000 guys to come down from the mountain and dictate that, hey, this is the next flavor. We're making it in our kitchens, in our garages, and in our small, cafes, and we're really starting to move this needle.
You're the epitome of that guy, Todd. Miss grassroots, and look where you are now. Amazing.
That's it, man. Again, we just practice science without a license, man.
Awesome. Well, hey, Todd, we're out of time.
Unfortunately.
All right, guys.
Would love to talk more.
Really enjoy it.
Thanks again.
I'm going to take this away from you now, all right? Okay, guys.
So sad.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
John, practicing science without a license. I love it.
I mean, it's a good quote. There's definitely a lot of that right now.
We're seeing a lot of it here at BevNet Live, from Waters to Switchell's making a comeback, and to some of the things that we're seeing in boxes.
Boxes?
Yeah, like Wandering Bear, box coffee.
I was like, where are you going with this box thing? Yeah, well, I mean, I think, to Todd's point, this is also what he was saying about craft and not waiting for these big companies to dictate what's next. It is pretty interesting how that shifted where, I don't know, 20 or so years ago, that was how it happened, or probably even less than that. Big companies made whatever the flavor, innovation was, and little companies followed, and it definitely is pretty much the reverse right now.
Yeah,
so.
now we've got this, now that everybody's a craftsman, everybody can craft or create, and they're not afraid to brew or distribute via the internet.
All that stuff.
It's all changed.
Well, now we've got our next guest.
Awesome.